Hi everyone, welcome back to Joy Antique. I am just so grateful for all of you stopping by and visiting with me. I have a special announcement to make. I have been chosen as one of the Graphics Fairy design team members for this next year. And I am just so grateful, so humbled, so thankful. And I want to say thank you for all of the design teams that I've been on thus far that have just challenged me and helped me grow as a creative artist and just given me those opportunities. So I appreciate all of you just supporting this channel and supporting my Etsy shop and just giving me so much encouragement, so many kind words, and it just means the world. And so I just want you to know that all of you had such a big part in me being able to get better and be a part of this Graphics Fairy team. So I'm really excited about that, and so I look forward to showing you the projects that I'm going to create using their digitals and all of the things that I'm going to learn from them too. So that said, today I just wanted to come on and visit a little bit and just make a couple of tags here that I wanted to show you how I've made some in the past that I just added a little lace to and just kind of embellished them a little bit, and they turned out really cute. So that's what I'm going to work on today, and I hope that you just will grab a few things and come along with me and let's just create a little bit. The tags that I'm using today, this one is from Country at Heart 2008, and I'll link her shop below. She has tons of digitals that are just so pretty and fun to use. And this one is by Boho Love, and I'll link her shop below too. And this is one of my favorite Polaroids that she has in one of her kits. So we're just gonna have some fun with these and create something pretty. Okay, so I have some lace here, and I kind of like to get the wide strips just because it covers the tag. And so I kind of like to lay it over the top. So we'll put a little eyelet in the top, and that will keep it together. And then you'll have this piece of lace hanging down in the back that you can lift up and write under. And I just think they just add a little bit of a softness about them. So that's kind of why I like to do them like this. I'm just going to cut that off. And then I'm going to take and measure. And you can leave it hanging down if you like it a little better like that. But I think I'm going to make this one even. Just even with the bottom there. And then I'm going to take and trim off to where it'll be a straight, or kind of straight. I'm going to trim off where it'll be halfway straight anyway. So then that'll just kind of lay over the top and drape down like that. So let me just get my eyelet. Okay, so for this one, I'm just going to use a little black eyelet that kind of brings out the black in the writing. And so you can glue a little bit if you want, if it helps you hold it in place. I'm going to see if I can do this one without having to glue it. Just have to kind of be careful how you hold it and make sure it stays in the right place. And then I'm going to take this and punch my hole. And this looks like it's pretty much the center of that lace, which would mean it's the center of my tag. So I'm just going to go right through there. And I'm going to trim that off, get that out of the way. And then I'm going to take and go through here. And there you can see where you need to trim back there because it kind of pushes it up. And so then I'm just going to take my tool here and set that. And there you just have a cute little lace topper there. It sets the back. Now this is where you would want to glue, because if it doesn't catch those little edges of your lace, depending on your lace, then you would need to have it glued there so it won't come apart. But I think this one's going to hold pretty good. So there's that one. So I'm just going to lay that there while we look at the other one. And so I have some more pieces of lace here. I'm just going to try and see what we have. It needs to be a little wider for this one. So I may even try a little doily. Let's just see how that works. I don't want to cover up the roses very much though. I love these roses, they're so pretty. I think that's a little big. Let me see what else I have. So I have this pretty lace that I could just cut a strip of. So I'm going to lay that there to kind of measure. Let's see what that looks like. It's kind of pretty. You can still see the rose through there, and then I'll just trim this off, or maybe even cut it with some my pinking shears to give it a little bit of detail down there. We'll see. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do my eyelet on this one. Let me get that. So for this one, I'm going to use a gold. I think the gold will be pretty with this shading here. So I'm just going to fold that over. And it doesn't have to be that far down if you don't want it. Do it like that. I'm just going to make sure it's straight. I'm going to punch my hole. I'll go down in there with this eyelet. Put that down in there. And check the back side, so there is a little bit of the trim there. Sometimes it separates it enough you don't have to trim it, but... Alright, and then we're going to set this eyelet. And there's that one. Let me see what it looks like cutting this with the pinking shears. And if your lace wants to go crooked like that, then you can just kind of work with it and twist it a little bit. Most of the time it'll twist, it'll stretch a little bit. And you can kind of shape it. So that's a little better. It just pulls it tight when you put that eyelet in there, so sometimes you have to kind of work with it. So I'm just going to take and see what it looks like cutting this with pinking shears, just to give it a little bit different edge here than here, because this is already a straight edge, so I wanted to add a little bit of dimension here. So I'm going to take about half of that off. And like I've told y'all before, pretty much everything I do is just experimental. If it doesn't turn out, then go to plan B. And that is not straight, so let me go back and... Got a little curvy there somewhere along the way. That's better. So you can see that that just adds a little bit of texture down there. It's not even perfect, but I don't care. I just think it needed a little something different there. And you could even cut this edge, and I think I'm going to do that too. So let me go back and try to get this halfway straight. And that just adds a little bit of something there. Okay, so now you could take and you could add a stamp here, which I think I'll do. I've got these pretty ones of sample. And what do I want to add? Let's do this July one. I think it's pretty. And so I'm gonna put that on my block. And let me get my ink. So I like to use the Distress ink in the walnut. I just like the that it's almost black but not quite, and it gives it a little bit of a distress as you put it on. So that's a little bit big. We're gonna go for it. And so there's that. Kind of just experiment with what you have, and I think that looks good. And so then from there, I just kind of add any kind of embellishments, bulb pins with little charms hanging off, or little tags that can be hung at the top to kind of add some extra dimension to it. Just whatever may strike you as, you know, the decorative elements you want to add. So let me look for some stuff really quick. So I found a few things. I found some seam binding ribbon, these sweet little roses, and a handmade rose that I had made. This little beaded pearl trim, and these little leaves that I had made from clay and kind of shaped. So I'm going to use all of those. And then I also had found just some rag strip ribbon that I had made from an old sheet. So I'll use that as the tie. And then I had found just some little dangles that I thought would be pretty, but I end up not using those, but I will use them in a future project. So here I'm just gonna kind of ink up those leaves just to give them a little depth, and I think those will be really pretty with that handmade rose. And then I'm gonna start placing those pink roses. I was trying to decide where to put them, but I ended up putting them in the corner there. And before I got too much glue on it, I went ahead and put something between that and the tag just to keep the glue from seeping through. So I'm just going to make a little cluster with those pink roses, and I think that'll be really sweet with the pink roses on the tag. They just add a special little detail to the tag. So I have that seam binding ribbon, and I'm just going to loop it through there. But you can see how the back flips up and you can write underneath there. And the more I played with these tags and added the lace, I realized that it was kind of like a little lace curtain. So that's why I've called these lace curtain tags. Just adds a really fun little soft element that also just lets you write your message kind of obscured from everything else. So I'm just trying to figure out where to place these little leaves, and I end up kind of sticking them in between the layers of the flower to glue them, and that worked really well. I have some little candy molds that I made these from, and they turned out really cute. They were super simple to make, and I just kind of curled them before they dried so that they could make the shape more realistic. But I think they add just the perfect little touch to that flower. Look how cute that is. So now I'm just going to add the other. And that is just adorable. And it just goes so perfectly with this tag. So now I'm going to add this little pearl trim here. I just love it. And I think it's perfect for the elegance of this tag. So I'm just going to put it at the bottom of that lace there. So that'll just add a sweet little detail to the bottom. So I'll just trim that off a little bit. Make sure those ends are glued down really good so they don't come apart. And look, it's beautiful. So now I'm going to add this little rag strip. I'll just pull off all the extra strings that are hanging. Get it cleaned up a little bit. I'm just going to kind of leave it all crumpled instead of ironing it. I think it'll just add to the vintage feel of it. And since this ribbon is so thick, I end up just pulling one of the strings through. And you could just leave it just like that without the bow. But you could also tie a bow. You can shorten those ribbons if you'd rather see whatever's on your tag better. But I think I'm just going to leave these hanging. So that looks really pretty. They're very different, but still have the same concept. So now I'm just going to make a few more where you can just kind of see with all different styles and all different lace designs, whatever it may be. They don't take very long to make. The hardest part for me is always deciding what to do, what to add, so that I get the end result that I'm looking for. Here I don't like that stark white background, and rather than gluing something on the back, I still want a place to write back there. So I just kind of color it up a little bit to distress it with the ink, just to age it some. And you could mass make a lot of these and just have them ready for projects and then add your embellishments later when you know for sure what colors you need to go with it. I love this little postcard tag. And I think this one is by Sweet Pea Curiosities. I'll try to link everything below. And so I have this little lace trim that I'm just gonna cut the little flowers out of and just use it as a little extra on the front there. rather than adding the bigger flowers, I'm just going to add this little piece of lace that hangs down. I think this is a really sweet little lace trim. And I like just cutting the little designs out of the lace and using those separate because there's so much detail in them. So you really don't have to work so hard to add the detail when you use these pieces. It does it all for you. And there's the back. So now I'm just going to add a few more details to it. I found this sweet little doily, and I hate to cut it, but it gave me exactly the look I was looking for. So I'm just going to cut enough off to add to the bottom. So I'm just kind of measuring here to see where I need to cut. So I just take that little tip off of it. And I think that's going to be the perfect little finishing touch at the bottom. So I found this seam binding ribbon that'll go perfectly on this one. So I'm just doing a really simple little bow on this. And I love that crinkly ribbon like that. So these are the 3 that I've made on camera, but I'm also going to show you some that I made off camera. So I kept crafting after I got the camera off, and here's a few more ideas for you. This one is from Sampool, and I just added a little lace piece on the front bottom, and then I also added a lace piece on the curtain bottom. This one I started out with adding a little piece of tulle around the tag, and then I added this little piece from a lace, from a skirt, and also another layer of lace, so that it would just have all those pretty layers peeping out from the sides and the bottom. And then I just added a little charm to the tulle there, and then I added my seam binding ribbon to the top there. This one is another one from Sampool, and these actually I think came on her Ko-fi, the freebies that she has there. And so this is a beautiful piece of lace, and I just added the little heart trim at the bottom of that one, and another one of her pretty stamps, the gray seam binding at the top. So I hope you enjoyed watching this, and I hope you crafted along with me. I hope you got some ideas and that you'll try different techniques of your own. These just turn out so pretty, and they'll add such beautiful tags to your journal or to use on gifts or however you want to use them. So I hope y'all have a great day, and I will see you soon. God bless.